The crash and the fallen princess the night was quiet. Only the sound of wind moved through the tall trees. The moonlight was soft, and Ethan sat near his small wooden cabin, sipping a hot drink. He enjoyed this silence. After many lonely years, he liked the peace of this forest. But then, everything changed. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the sky, a strange, roaring sound. Ethan jumped up. He looked up and saw a bright light falling from the sky. It was fast, burning, and heading toward the forest near his cabin. Boom! The ground shook. Birds flew away in fear. Ethan's heart raced. This was no normal shooting star. It looked like a ship, but not a human one. He ran toward the place where it fell. As he reached the crash site, he saw smoke rising from a large crater. The air was hot. Pieces of strange metal lay everywhere. In the middle, he saw a figure. Small body lying still. It was glowing softly, almost like moonlight. He stepped closer, carefully. His eyes grew wide. It was a girl, but not just any girl. Her skin was pale blue, and her hair shined like silver. She wore strange armor, cracked and burned from the crash. A thin crown, bent and broken, sat on her head. Her leg was twisted badly, clearly broken. Her chest rose and fell. Slowly she was alive, but barely. Ethan's breath caught. Who was she? Why had she fallen from the sky? For a moment, he hesitated. Should he leave her? She was clearly alien dangerous. Maybe? But then she groaned softly, her face showing pain. She looked helpless, lost, and hurt. Without another thought, Ethan bent down and carefully lifted her in his arms. Her body was light, almost too light. He felt the soft hum of energy from her skin. He carried her back to his cabin. Inside, he laid her gently on his old wooden bed. He looked at her leg, was broken badly. Her face was pale, and she was unconscious. Her breathing was weak. "What are you?" he whispered. But there was no answer. He couldn't leave her like this. Years ago, Ethan had learned some first aid when he lived in the city. He remembered how to fix broken bones simple human ways. No machines, no fancy hospitals. Just care. He found 2 straight sticks from outside and tied them around her leg with cloth, making a splint. He worked slowly and gently. Her skin felt warm, almost glowing under his fingers as he worked. He noticed something strange, a small glowing device on her arm. It blinked slowly, as if sending a signal. His heart sank. Was someone tracking her? Were more aliens coming? But, for now, she needed help. He cleaned her cuts, wrapped her leg carefully, and covered her with a blanket. He sat beside her, watching her breathe. He couldn't believe this was real. An alien princess, at least that's what she looked like, was. In his bed, hours passed. Outside, the wind blew harder. Strange lights moved in the sky again, far away but coming closer. Ethan felt a chill. This was not over. Whoever she was, someone was looking for her. Then she stirred. Her eyes opened slowly. They were large, bright, and glowing like stars. She looked at Ethan, confused and afraid. She tried to speak, but her words were soft and strange, not English. "It's okay," Ethan said gently. "You're safe." She tried to sit up, but winced in pain, holding her leg. She looked down at her leg and touched the splint Ethan had made. Her fingers traced the rough sticks and cloth. Her eyes widened in surprise. Maybe where she came from, they didn't heal this way. Tears welled in her eyes. She whispered something. Softly, a word Ethan couldn't understand, but her voice was sad and soft. At that moment, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. She needed him. Outside, the strange lights came closer. He looked out the window, worried. Were they here for her? Were they friendly or dangerous? Ethan knew only one thing. He couldn't let her be taken, not yet. He didn't even know her name, but he had to protect her. And deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The mysterious healing, the alien princess, lay quietly on Ethan's old wooden bed. Her pale blue skin glowed softly in the candlelight. Ethan sat nearby, watching her. Outside, the night was cold and dark. But inside, Ethan's mind was full of questions. Who was she? Why did she fall from the sky? And who was coming after her? Suddenly, the princess moved. Her glowing eyes opened wide and locked on Ethan. For a moment, fear flashed in her gaze. Her lips moved, but the words were strange, soft, musical. Not English. She sat up slowly, but winced as pain shot through her leg. She looked down and saw the sticks and cloth tied around her injury. Her fingers traced them carefully, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Ethan smiled gently. "It's called a splint," he said softly. "'Twill help your leg heal." The princess tilted her head, confused but curious. Then she whispered a word in her language, soft and almost sad. Ethan could not understand her words, but he could feel their meaning, gratitude, and something more. Surprise. For the first time, she raised her hand and touched Ethan's face gently. Her touch was warm and sent a strange energy through him. Her kind didn't heal this way. They used machines, energy tools, nanobots, but Ethan had used simple human care, and this amazed her. Then she did something unexpected. She placed her palm over her own chest, where a strange glowing stone hung from a necklace. The stone pulsed softly. She pointed at herself and said slowly, "Liara?" It was her name. Ethan nodded. "Liara, I'm Ethan." A small smile appeared on her lips, but this quiet moment didn't last. A small device on her wrist suddenly blinked and beeped a sharp sound that made her eyes widen in fear. Ethan leaned forward. "What is that?" Liara struggled to speak, mixing her language with broken English. "Hunters, coming." Fast, Ethan's heart raced. Who were these hunters? Why did they want her? Suddenly, Liara placed her hand on Ethan's chest. Her fingers glowed softly, and a warm light spread through him. He felt strange, but strong. His tired muscles relaxed, and the headache he had felt for days disappeared. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked, surprised. She smiled softly. "Small gift, healing you." Even injured and afraid, she was helping him. But outside, a low hum began to fill the air. Ethan froze. Through the window, he saw strange lights moving between the trees. A shadow moved quickly, a tall figure in black armor, carrying a long weapon. Then another, and another. The hunters had arrived. Lyra's smile faded. She grabbed Ethan's arm tightly and whispered something urgent, but he could not understand. Then she pulled a small silver device from her belt and pushed it into Ethan's hand. It was cold and smooth, shaped like a cube. "What is this?" Ethan asked. She shook her head slowly, but pointed at his chest, at his heart. Suddenly, the device blinked softly and showed a holographic image. Liara herself, standing proud but sad, her crown shining. It looked like a message, or a memory. Ethan's mind raced. Was this why they were hunting her? Before he could ask more, the shadows outside moved closer. A voice, deep, harsh, and alien, shouted something from the trees. They had tracked her here. Liara looked at Ethan with pleading eyes. Despite her pain and fear, she trusted him. In that moment, Ethan made a decision. He grabbed Liara carefully, lifting her into his arms again. She cried out softly as her leg hurt, but she wrapped her arms around his neck. "We need to go," Ethan whispered. He blew out the candles, plunging the cabin into darkness. The hunters were outside, but he knew this forest better than anyone. As they slipped out the back door, Ethan looked back one last time at his cabin. His peaceful life was over. Now, everything had changed. Chased through the woods, the cold night. Air hit Ethan's face as he stepped out of the cabin with Liara in his arms. The forest around them was dark, but Ethan knew every path, every hidden trail. Behind them, shadows moved fast. Strange voices whispered in the trees deep and cold. The hunters were here. Liara clutched Ethan's shirt tightly, her glowing blue skin almost lighting up the night. Her breath was fast, but she kept silent. She trusted him, even though they had just met. Ethan moved quickly through the trees, stepping over roots and sliding between bushes. His heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. This way. We can lose them near the river, he whispered. Suddenly, a red beam of light shot past them, burning the tree next to Ethan. The hunters were right behind them now, and they had weapons. Faster, Liara said weakly. Her voice was soft but urgent. Ethan didn't stop. His legs burned, but he kept running, holding her carefully so her broken leg wouldn't hit the branches. Then, something unexpected happened. Liara reached into the folds of her torn armor and pulled out a small crystallia, dark purple stone that pulsed softly. She pressed it against her wrist and spoke in her language. A thin blue shield appeared around them for a second, blocking another red beam. Ethan looked at her, amazed. You could do that all this time? Shh. But Liara shook her head. Shield? Weak. Not last long. Ethan understood. It was only temporary. He had to find a place to hide, and fast. Soon they reached the river. The water was cold and fast, rushing over smooth rocks. Ethan paused, catching his breath. He listened carefully. Footsteps, quiet, but close, coming through the trees. He knew what to do. Hold on tight. He whispered before Liara could ask why. Ethan stepped into the river. The icy water soaked his boots, but he kept going, moving downstream carefully. He knew the hunters would follow footprints, but the river would hide their trail. Lyra's eyes widened as she realized his plan. Smart, human. But even as they waded through the water, Liara's crystal flickered weakly. The shield was failing. Suddenly, Ethan felt a sharp pain in his arm. A small metal dart hit him. It came from one of the hunters. His arm felt numb for a moment, but he kept walking. The river curved and led to a small cave hidden behind a wall of vines. This is it, Ethan whispered. He pushed the vines aside and stepped inside the cave. It was dark, cold and damp, but safe for now. Ethan set Liara down gently on a flat rock. She winced in pain, but nodded in thanks. Outside, the hunters paused. Their voices echoed in their strange language. The river had hidden Ethan's tracks, while they didn't know where he and Liara had gone. In the silence, Liara took a deep breath. Her fingers glowed faintly as she touched Ethan's injured arm where the dart had struck him. A soft blue light spread from her fingers, and the numbness faded. You healed me again, Ethan said. Surprised, she nodded weakly. You heal me. I heal you. For a moment, their eyes met. Two very different beings. Two different worlds, but somehow connected. Then Liara whispered something that made Ethan's heart pound even faster. Hunters, not just for me. They want you too now. Ethan froze. Why me? Liara touched the silver cube she had given him earlier. It glowed softly in his pocket. They know you help, Princess. Us. You hold royal memory now. Ethan realized the truth. By saving her, he was now part of something much bigger. The hunters would not stop. They would chase both of them across this world. Or worse, but Ethan didn't regret it. I'm not leaving you, he said firmly. Outside, the hunters began searching again. They would not give up easily. Inside the cave, Ethan and Liara prepared for what would come next. This was only the beginning of their dangerous journey. and Ethan was ready. Secrets of the Alien Princess. The cave was dark and cold, but inside it felt strangely safe for now. Ethan sat near the entrance, listening carefully. Outside, the hunters moved slowly, their shadows passing near the vines. But they did not enter the cave yet. Behind him, Liara sat quietly on a flat rock, her legs still wrapped in Ethan's simple splint. Her glowing skin was pale and tired, but her eyes burned with secrets. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then Liara broke the silence. "Must tell you," she whispered. Her voice was soft, shaking slightly. "You deserve truth." Ethan turned to her, surprised. "Truth? About what?" Liara took a deep breath and removed a small silver pendant from under her armor. The pendant glowed softly, and a tiny hologram appeared above it. The hologram showed a strange world, her home planet. Tall silver towers rose into the sky, and flying ships moved between them. Ethan watched, amazed. "My world," Liara said, "ruled by council. But council corrupt. They force me, marry cruel prince." Her voice trembled as she continued. "I ran, stole this." She lifted the pendant higher. "This, not just pendant. It is memory core, holds secrets, keys to power." Ethan's eyes widened. "So they're not just after youth, they want this memory." Liara nodded slowly. "Yes, if they get it, they rule all." Ethan sat beside her, thinking hard. She wasn't just a lost alien princess, she was a fugitive carrying something powerful. Something that could change the future of her people. But why trust him? "Why did you give it to me?" Ethan asked gently. Liara looked at him, her glowing eyes soft but serious. "You healed me," she said. "Not just leg, you cared. My people, cold. Machines, no feeling. But you, different." For the first time, Ethan realized how lonely she must have been, even before the crash. Suddenly, Liara winced in pain. Her leg hurt again, and her body trembled. She leaned back against the cave wall. Ethan moved closer, checking her bandages. "I don't have your kind of medicine," he said softly. "But I'll do what I can." Liara smiled weakly. But outside, danger was still close. The hunters' voices echoed again. They were searching the forest carefully. Their technology would soon detect the heat from their bodies. Liara knew this too. She reached into another pocket and pulled out a small round disc. "This cloaking device," she explained. "But broken, needs repair." Ethan took the disc, examining it. The surface was cracked, wires exposed. It looked alien, but he could see some familiar patterns, simple circuits and connectors. He smiled slightly. "I can try." He reached into his backpack and pulled out a tiny toolkit, something he used to fix his old radio. Slowly, carefully, he began repairing the device. While he worked, Liara watched him closely. "You fix machines too?" she asked softly. Ethan laughed quietly. "Not usually alien machines, but I'm learning fast." Liara giggled, just a small laugh, but it made the dark cave feel less cold as he connected the last wire. The disc blinked softly. The cloaking field shimmered around them. They were hidden now even from the hunter's sensors. Liara's eyes filled with gratitude. "You save me again," she whispered. Ethan shook his head. "We're saving each other." But Liara's expression suddenly changed. Her smile faded, replaced by worry. "Even with cloak, they come soon. More hunters. Stronger ones." Ethan's heart sank. This wasn't over, not even close. Then Liara reached for his hand. "Ethan, you know, they hunt you now too, not just me." Ethan squeezed her hand gently. I don't care, he said. I'm staying with you. Her fingers trembled in his, but her smile returned in that dark cave. Far from any city, two strangers, an Earthman and an alien princess, side by side. Sharing their fears, their secrets, and something new, trust. But outside, in the shadows of the trees, the hunters were regrouping, and next time, it would come stronger. This journey was only just beginning. The hunters' trap morning light was starting to break through the trees, but inside the cave, it was still dark and cold. Ethan and Liara sat close, hidden inside the weak cloaking field. For a moment, all seemed quiet, but outside, in the forest, danger was moving closer. The hunters had not left. Instead, they had prepared a new planet trap. Liara could feel it. She closed her eyes and whispered softly, "Wait for us now." Ethan nodded. He knew they could not stay here forever. The cloaking device was weak. Soon it would fail completely. "We need to move," Ethan said. But Lyra's leg was still broken, and she could not walk far. Ethan thought hard. "We'll take the old river path. They won't expect that." He carefully lifted her into his arms again. Even though he was tired, he would not leave her behind. Slowly, they moved out of the cave. The morning air was cool and fresh, but tension filled it. Every sound felt louder: the birds, the wind, the rustle of leaves. They reached the riverbank and followed the narrow path along the water. But then, it happened. Ethan stepped onto a patch of ground and, suddenly, a sharp blue light flashed beneath his feet. A trap. Thin metal wires shot up around them, forming a glowing cage. Ethan dropped Liara gently to the ground and looked around in shock. The hunters appeared from behind the trees, tall, armored, silent. Their dark helmets reflected the morning sun. Strange weapons were pointed at them. Liara's face filled with fear. She tried to speak, but the hunters raised their hands. Signaling silence, one hunter, larger than the rest, stepped forward. His armor was black and silver, and his voice was deep and cold. "Human, you protect our princess." "Why?" the hunter asked in broken English. Ethan stayed calm, but said nothing. The hunter turned to Liara. "Princess Liara, surrender the memory core, or both of you die." Liara trembled. Her fingers reached for the silver pendant around her neck, the memory core that held the secrets of her people. But then, something changed. Liara looked at Ethan and saw determination in his eyes. Even trapped, even surrounded, he was not afraid. She realized she could not give up now. In a soft whisper, she spoke to Ethan. "Trust me. One chance." Before he could ask what she meant, Liara pressed a small button on her wrist. The pendant in her hand glowed brightly. Suddenly, a flash of light exploded from the pendant, blinding and sharp, and the hunters shouted and covered their faces. In that moment, the glowing cage flickered and broke. Ethan didn't hesitate. He grabbed Liara's hand and pulled her to her feet. "Run," he shouted. Liara limped but kept moving. My gosh. She could feel the pain in her leg, but pushed through it. They dashed into the trees. The hunters recovered quickly and began chasing them again. But Liara had bought them precious seconds as they ran. Ethan noticed something strange. The forest around them began to shimmer slightly, almost like a mirage. Then Liara explained, breathlessly, "This forest, old alien tech, hidden portal, near. A hidden portal. A way out." Ethan's hope surged, but the hunters were getting closer. Their weapons fired again, red beams burning through branches near them. Finally, they reached a clearing. In the center stood a large ancient stone, covered in strange glowing symbols. It hummed softly with energy. "This? The portal," Liara gasped. But there was a problem. The portal was not active. Ethan looked around desperately. "How do we turn it on?" he asked. Liara pressed her hands to the stone, whispering in her language. The symbols began to glow brighter, but the energy was slow. The hunters entered the clearing, weapons raised. End of escape. The leader said coldly, but Ethan stood between them and Liara. His arms wide. Not today, he said firmly. Even without a weapon, he refused to give up. Lyra's hands glowed brighter. Shh! And suddenly, the stone lit up completely. A swirling blue light opened a gateway. Liara grabbed Ethan's arm. Jump, she cried. Together, they leaped into the light just as the hunters fired their weapons. In an instant, they vanished. The hunters stood in silence, their prey gone. Where had the portal taken Ethan and Liara? That question would wait. But their journey was far from over. She fixes his heart. The portal light was blinding. For a moment, Ethan felt weightless, spinning in a tunnel of glowing blue and silver energy. Then thump. He and Liara landed hard on soft grass. Ethan groaned and looked around. They were no longer in the forest. This was a new place, a hidden glade surrounded by tall crystal trees. The air felt warm, and strange glowing flowers filled the ground. A small stream ran nearby, its water shining like liquid light. They were safe. At least for now. Liara sat quietly, her leg still hurting. She leaned against a tree, breathing heavily. But she smiled softly. "We did it," she whispered. Ethan sat next to her, heart still racing. "You saved us," he said. Liara turned, her glowing eyes toward him. "No, you saved me." Many times, a soft silence followed. Birds strange. Glowing creatures sang quietly above them. Then Liara did something unexpected. She gently placed her hand over Ethan's chest, right above his heart. "I feel your pain here," she said softly. Ethan looked away, but he didn't speak at first. For years, he had lived alone in that cabin, hiding from memories that hurt too much: his lost family, lost friends, and an empty, quiet life. But somehow, this alien princess could sense that pain. "You healed my leg," Liara continued, "but I can heal this." Her fingers glowed softly, spreading a gentle warmth over Ethan's chest. At first, Ethan thought it was just her alien energy. But then he realized it was more than that. She wasn't just healing his body. She was healing the emptiness in his heart, the loneliness, the sadness he never spoke about. She could feel it, hey, and she cared. A tear rolled down Ethan's cheek. "You don't have to do this," he whispered. But Liara smiled. "I want to," she said. "Your kindness healed my body. I heal your heart." For the first time in many years, Ethan felt truly seen, not by another human, but by someone who came from the stars. As her hand glowed brighter, Ethan felt the heaviness in his chest slowly lifting. And at that moment, Liara leaned gently against him, resting her head on his shoulder. Her silver hair glowed softly in the strange light of the glade. "You are not alone anymore," she whispered. Neither of them spoke after that. They simply sat together, silent but comforted. But even this peace would not last long. Suddenly, the pendant on Lyra's neck flashed a warning light. She sat up quickly, her face serious again. "What is it?" Ethan asked. "They found us," Liara said. "The hunters still coming." Ethan's heart sank. Even in this peaceful place, danger followed them. But this time, something had changed. They were no longer just running to survive. They were running together, and now they shared a bond stronger than before, a bond that no hunter could ever break. Ethan stood up, offering his hand. "Then let's go," he said. Liara smiled and took his hand. Even with her broken leg, even with hunters chasing them, she felt strong. She had healed his broken heart, and he was ready to fight for her in the distance. A soft hum filled the air. The hunters were coming. But for the first time, Ethan didn't feel afraid. This was no longer just about escape. This was about protecting each other. Together, a new beginning, the crystal glade glowed softly around them as Ethan and Liara held hands. Standing together under the strange sky, the warning lights on Lyra's pendant kept flashing. The hunters were coming fast closer than before, but something inside Ethan had changed. This time, he wasn't just running to escape. He was standing for something, for someone. Lyra's glowing eyes met his, even with her broken leg. Even after all she had been through, she stood tall beside him. Suddenly, her pendant spoke in a soft voice her language, but she understood it clearly. Her people had arrived. But this was no hunting party. This was a royal delegation. A bright light appeared above them. A sleek alien ship, silver and beautiful, hovered quietly in the air. From its side, a door opened, and a shining platform lowered gently to the ground. Ethan's breath caught. "Your people?" he asked. Liara nodded slowly. "They did not expect me to survive," she said. "But now, I decide my future." Ethan watched as a tall figure stepped off the platform, a woman dressed in silver robes, carrying a staff glowing with the same energy as Leora's pendant. It was one of Leora's advisors. The woman bowed slightly. "Princess Leora, your courage has changed everything." Liara stood straight, leaning on Ethan for support. The advisor continued. "The council rejected the cruel prince. The people spoke for freedom. They want you to return as their true leader." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but this time, they were tears of hope. Ethan felt his heart twist. Would she leave now? Would she go back to her world without him? But then Liara turned to him. She reached out and gently touched his face. "I promised. You are not alone now," she said softly. "Come with me to my world." Ethan froze. Her words were simple but full of meaning. He thought of his old life, a quiet cabin, loneliness, empty days. Then he thought of her smile, her kindness, her strength. His answer was clear. He nodded slowly. "I'm coming with you," he said. Liara smiled wider than ever before. Together, they stepped onto the shining platform. As it rose back toward the waiting ship, the hunters arrived at the edge of the glade too late. They could only watch as the ship lifted into the sky, its engines glowing softly. Ethan looked down one last time at Earth, his old home, and then looked at Lyra, his new home. A new beginning had arrived as the ship disappeared into the stars. One thing was certain. This was not the end of their story. It was just the beginning of a life they would face together.